and welcome to the Treehouse. This is Kag with a View from Above tarot reading for Friday, the 13th of September. This morning we're going to be using my old Radiant Wise Spirit deck, the one that I call the Mama deck, and I did shuffle before we started the video, and I'm going to finish this up and tell you that I attempted to read a reading before I started this video from a different deck and laid it out and discovered that I had not recorded it. But actually, it was probably providential that it did not record, because it was a deck that I am not as well versed in. And it was a little confusing to me too. So we are going to do the Know, Think, and Do reading this morning. And we will lay it out with our familiar deck. And this is what would be helpful for us to know. This is what would be helpful for us to think. And this is what will be helpful for us to do. So it is Friday the 13th, and some people have, this is Meriwether, some people have some aversion to the 13th. I think it's called trichodecaphobia. To be afraid of Friday the 13th, but we aren't going to worry about that this morning. It's Friday after all, and we're ready to think about the weekend. So this is going to be a reading for the collective as always. So take what resonates for you and leave the rest. If you have a question in mind, consider that perhaps one of these cards will have some kind of insight for you. So this morning, what do we need to know? Well, Friday the 13th gives us a tower. The tower is the card of a structure that no longer serves us. And I can already think that these cards are upside down. So as my disclaimer, I do not read reversals. We will read them as their full cards in the upright position. So I will turn them around if they are upside down. Back to the tower. So structures are in place to help us navigate the world. And sometimes those structures have to come down. Sometimes we bring them down. Sometimes the universe brings them down for us. But they are a kind of upheaval, and they don't serve us anymore, and so they have to be cleared away. This is a tree, and this tree is growing up from the ground, and it has something to do with the destruction of this tower, as does the lightning coming down and really popping the crown off of the top of the structure with this fire. And this is somewhat related to the Ace of Swords, where the sword punctures through the crown at the top. So while this looks upsetting, it is not necessarily upsetting, and we'll see more about what will be helpful to know about this change in structure, something that no longer serves us, that has to go away. So here's what will be helpful for us to think about today, and this is the 10 of Pentacles. Pentacles being the card of all of your resources, your health, your wisdom, your experiences, your family, your house, everything. And that is the end of a cycle. So to think about what it is that we have brought into abundance, what is it that we've been working on that we have really achieved? And that ties nicely to the structure. When we have achieved something that we have been after, the old structure has to go away. When we have finished a school year, for example, that structure is going to be gone. We have to find new ways of living into our abundance, which means that the cycle starts over. This is the what do we need to do today card. And that is the Six of Swords. The boatman is taking the woman and her child, we assume that it is a woman, across from the turbulent waters to the calmer place. And sometimes after we have had the end of a cycle and the structure has really been taken down, this is a really good place to go. Someplace where it is less turbulent and more restful. And as they think about us going into the weekend, I'm like, yes, the weekend could be, for most of us, an opportunity to rest and recover from whatever has happened this week. So let's go back to what we need to know about this tower. And we have another 6. It is the 6 of Wands, which is a card of success with the help of others and being acknowledged for that success. And the other card is the 8 of Wands, which is something that has come in very quickly, all lined up This is exactly what we kind of wanted to happen or were waiting for it to happen. And this seems like the end of whatever this plan has been. So this may not be something that is surprising to us, something that we expected, something that we thought would be successful. And so here's a case where the Tower is something that we were perhaps planning on and had really brought about on our own with our own desire and with the help of others to bring about this change. So to know that this is something that we had in mind. And when I look at what we are thinking about, this is the abundance that comes at the end of a great deal of effort. That's the word I'm looking for. And what we have to clarify our Ten of Pentacles, two cards. We have the Wheel of Fortune, which is the fortune card of great luck, but it's also about how things change. So if things had been bad, the fact that they are changing to good, and we never know, right? Things are going to get better, things are going to get worse. But this is a card that tells us that change is afoot, which pairs nicely with the Tower over here. Even if we did bring about this change ourselves, here it is clarifying this abundance that we have. We're also being told that it's necessary for us to take a pause to look at what it is that we have done and to perhaps have some gratitude for the help of others that brought us to this place of abundance. Because we never do anything by ourselves. We always need the help, and we stand on the shoulders of other people who have gone before us, either as an example or have given us resources or cheered us on when we needed maybe a good word to keep going. And so our Do card is looking at how do we recover from all of this activity. Positive as it is, it looks like we are going to need to relax a little bit. And in our clarifiers for the swords are more swords. So the Page of Swords is someone who is new at knowing the truth and is, when you look at his stance, he's ready to whack away with the truth here. This is a card of some vulnerability. It's once you know the truth, are you sure you want other people to know it? And so this can be somewhat protective energy. He is rather verbose guy. He will talk to other people, but he has a tendency to hold back on revealing much of himself in a relationship. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing. It could be that it is really related to needing some space to not really talk about yourself in order to recover from what has happened that you have put in place this week. And maybe it is about him knowing his own mind on this side of everything. When I look at the Nine of Swords here, this feels to me like the need for processing and resting after all of this activity. So these three cards of logic and wisdom, which is what the sword suit is all about, it is about taking stock and really considering what you have gone through to get where you are here, and to really resting and recovering, maybe not talking about yourself so much, and taking the time to process what has happened so that you don't wake up in the middle of the night going, oh crap, what happened to me? So I think this is more of a card of being thoughtful about getting some rest at the end of the efforts here. So we have two major arcana. We have 2 wands, 2 pentacles, and 3 swords. Again, we do not have any cups, but we do have lots of water here, and we have water here with the 8 of wands. So there is water energy here in our spread. The major amount of water in the 6 of swords has to do with moving to that place where that is more emotionally healthy. And I would say that this 9 of swords is really more of a warning that if you do not take the time, if we do not take the time for resting and recovering, that this is something that would be on the agenda. So before I turn to the Merryweather card, we have 2 6s, a 7, 8, and a 9, and 10. So this is the numbers at the end of any of the minor arcana suits are the second half of our journey. And with the 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, right, we are at the last half of the journey that brings us to the conclusion of these resources in Pentacles. So Meriwether is going to give us the High Priestess. And she does pair quite nicely with our Do cards here. This is about taking stock of what we know on this side of things. She is somebody who is so deeply intuitive, and she knows without a whole lot of effort what is her wisdom about what has transpired here. So it seems that at the end of this very expansive period where there has been a lot of upheaval and change, even if it was at our own hands, we really need an opportunity this weekend to process what has happened in order to move forward. As we sit here on Friday the 15th, we are starting to look at what's coming up as is called eclipse season. Again, I'm not an astrologer, and so there will be lots of stuff out there starting this weekend and going into next week about the eclipse season and what that energy in the astrology has to say about it. So as I look at all of these cards, maybe take this weekend to really process and consider what you know now on this side of this, what appears to be a great success, and rest up and prepare for whatever the next project is going to be. So that's what I have for us at the Treehouse this morning. If this reading was helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. And come back and visit me again at Treehouse tomorrow. We'll be taking another View from Above tarot reading. Blessings.